Carson Wentz landed himself in the news recently. Yeah, he says he doesn't want to be in Philly anymore if he isn't the starter. He wants out. Do you blame him? I would too. A lot of people say he's not very good. I beg to differ. I like Wentz. I think he's a talented guy. I think the situation he's been put in is not all that great. But the question now is, what will happen to him next? Where does he fit? What people will have to find out when they look at him and say, can you be the quarterback for our team next year? Does he still love football? Can he mentally still handle being a starting NFL quarterback? Is he a true leader? These are the questions that need to be asked. And there will be teams that will definitely look at this because they're not in position to get a guy. Who knows if they'll have the cap space? But they're not in position to draft a guy. There's a couple free agents that might be out there, but are they better than Wentz? But then the question after that is Wentz worth the price tag? I'm not sure. My friend Peyton, I mentioned him earlier, he's a Browns fan. He hosts the Peyton Doyle Show. He told me this weeks ago when I asked for some of my followers' bold takes. He said Wentz will retire in the next couple of years like Luck did because he's going to lose his love for the game of football. There's a little bit of difference between the Luck situation and the Wentz situation. And if I was Wentz, my love for the game of football would be gone completely. The business side has chewed him up and spit him out harder than anybody else. But the difference between both of these players, Andrew Luck was one of the most highly sought after prospects coming out when he was drafted in the NFL. He was never challenged by another quarterback from the second he came into the league. He was just so badly broken and beaten down by injuries and having to go to rehab that it made him lose his love for the game. The difference though, Luck was drafted number 1, Wentz was drafted number 2. Not that far position in the draft, not even that many years in between them. Wentz was a Division I FCS guy. Luck went to Stanford. Luck, probably one of the smartest people to ever play in the NFL, just with his brains. But also a very quiet guy, a great leader, sometimes too good of a leader for his own good, and that led to his injuries because he didn't want to offend anybody and feel like he was disrespecting anybody by saying they needed to do a better thing. And I don't know if Wentz had that same knowledge, but Wentz was a second overall pick. He was an MVP candidate before he tore his ACL in 2017. Then he tears his ACL, has to sit down, and then watch his backup quarterback lead his team to a Super Bowl. That backup was Nick Foles. Foles can't even beat out Trubisky at this point. Let's be honest. If you watch the Bears this season, the best quarterback on the Bears is Mitchell Trubisky. Wentz has to come to work every day now. Probably look at the picture up on the wall of Nick Foles holding that Lombardi trophy. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You can picture it in your head. He's going to have to look at the statue of Nick Foles outside of the stadium. He has to drive to work, see the statue, and then come in and see that every single day to remind him of his injury and the time when he wasn't there for his team, probably in his own eyes. He was still a young guy in the league too. And that would bother me. And then you consider last year, in December, 4-0 in December. Carried a team full of practice squad players into the playoffs last year, then got hurt. To see Josh McCown get hurt and then lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Now Wentz did all that only for the organization, to show that they don't believe in him and that they needed to light a fire under him when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round of the draft, applying more pressure to Wentz, a guy who was already kind of mentally with the organization, unsure. And now We're talking about Wentz like he's a bad quarterback. He said like the most turnovers in the NFL this season, and he hasn't even started 2 games. I'm not defending Wentz at all. He has played bad this season. But if you were in his situation, let's be honest, it would be very hard to not be just mentally broken. I mean, the challenges he's been put up with between the nagging injuries in his career, people saying that he's injury prone and he can't do it, and that, oh, he's broken, he can't be fixed. Up, the organization. I just had the best month I've ever played in football. What do? Bring me some help. Nope, we're going to draft a quarterback to try to replace you. I think Wentz came into the season believing that the organization didn't believe in him, which inevitably slowly destroyed his confidence, even more than it was already. I can see why Wentz doesn't want to be in Philly anymore, because if I was him, I wouldn't want to either. I would want to restart somewhere else. And honestly, I completely understand that his time in Philly is over, but I want to see him succeed somewhere else. Because I like Carson Wentz. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he gets the respect he deserves, but he does struggle. But I think a restart somewhere else would do him wonders. The question is, where would that be? Who's willing to pay the price? And will it be next year? That's the question at hand. And I don't know if there's many teams out there that would be willing to pay the price. But imagine if the San Francisco 49ers would move on from Jimmy G and then go get a guy like Carson Wentz. Imagine. A lot of people say the Colts. I don't like that fit at all. Really? But the Patriots have cap space. Imagine if the Patriots got a hold of a guy like Carson Wentz. We've said this about Cam Newton, like, oh, Cam Newton. I don't know if Cam Newton could be fixed. I mean, there's a lot of problems up there, but if the Patriots could figure out that offensive line, Edelman come back, get him a weapon or two, I think he could be good there, Wentz. And I would hate to see it personally because I don't like the Patriots, but man, it'd be cool. I just want to see Wentz to be successful somewhere else because I like the guy. He's a good quarterback in my opinion. He just needs a second chance somewhere else. And sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But if you're Wentz, you can only wish. And I wish him the best.